Whenever we hear about a new medical breakthrough, there's a whole story we don't see. A story of incredible cost and, well, a whole lot of time. We're talking billions of dollars and sometimes decades of work just for one success. But what if that's all about to change? Today, we're diving into how a digital revolution is completely rewriting the rules for discovering new medicines.
So let's just start with the price tag. $2.6 billion. That's the average cost to develop just one new drug that actually makes it to market. It's a staggering figure, and honestly, it's one of the biggest things standing between a brilliant idea in a lab and a life-saving cure.
And it's not just the money, right? It's the time. On average, it takes 15 years for a promising discovery to go from the lab bench into the hands of a patient. That's a decade and a half. For people who need help now, that's an eternity.
So this brings us to the big question. We live in an age of instant everything, right? So why does finding a cure still feel like it's stuck in the slow lane? Well, the answer isn't just about science. It's about a total shift in how we approach the problem.
And that answer is a full-on digital revolution. The entire pharmaceutical world is right in the middle of this massive shakeup, leaving behind the old, slow methods and embracing technology to totally reinvent how we fight disease.
And this slide really nails the difference. The old way was just slow and siloed. Picture brilliant researchers working in their own little bubbles, making it tough to share findings. It led to so much wasted effort. The new way, it's all about tearing down those walls. It's fast, it's connected, and it's automated, letting information flow exactly where it needs to go. This whole new vision even has a name, Lab 4.0. You can think of it as the blueprint for the lab of the future. It's this incredible mix of robotics doing the repetitive lab work, AI helping scientists make smarter, faster decisions, and even creating digital twins, basically virtual copies of biological tests, so you can run thousands of simulations on a computer before you even pick up a test tube.
Okay, so what does this new digital lab actually look like in practice? Let's zoom in on that very first crucial stage, the actual discovery of a drug, and see how these tools are changing the game from day one. So, a core piece of this puzzle is something called computational biology. To put it simply, it's about using supercomputers to sift through mountains of biological data, genes, proteins, you name it. It's a scale that no human brain could possibly handle. This lets scientists build these super detailed digital models of a disease to see exactly how it works and, more importantly, where its weak spots are.
And the results are, well, they're pretty staggering. Using these computational tools improves the success rate for finding the right target for a drug by 45%. Think about it. A drug is like a key that has to fit a very specific lock on a disease. Finding that perfect lock from the get-go saves years and billions of dollars that would have been wasted on dead ends.
Now, of course, a revolution like this isn't cheap. A multi-year AI initiative can cost millions. But what's really fascinating here is where that money goes. You see that biggest slice of the pie? That's not for the fancy computers. It's for people. It's for hiring and training the brilliant data scientists and biologists who can actually turn all that raw data into a life-saving insight.
Okay, so you found a promising drug in the lab. Awesome. But now comes the really hard part, testing it in people. This phase, clinical trials, has traditionally been another huge bottleneck in the process. But, you guessed it, that's changing too.
I want you to meet the virtual clinical trial. Instead of making patients travel back and forth to a specific hospital, this new model lets them participate right from their own homes. They use things like wearable sensors, check in with doctors over video calls, and report their symptoms through apps. It just makes research so much more accessible to so many more people.
And the impact this has on speed is just huge. One of the biggest delays in any clinical trial is just finding enough of the right patients. They can take years. Well, virtual trials can slash that recruitment time in half, by up to 50%. That doesn't just speed things up. It means some research can happen that otherwise might never have gotten started. It's a massive accelerator.
So how does this all work? Well, it's powered by something called digital biomarkers. It sounds super technical, but it's an idea you're probably already familiar with. Just think about the health data your smartwatch or fitness tracker collects. Now imagine using that constant stream of data in a clinical trial. It gives researchers this incredibly rich, real-time picture of how a drug is actually affecting someone.
And the benefits here are just enormous. You get continuous objective data 24/7. This means researchers can spot potential safety problems almost instantly, instead of waiting weeks for the next appointment. It also gives them a way clearer picture of how a treatment is really working in the real world, which leads to better data and ultimately safer trials for everyone.
But here's the thing, you can have all the coolest gadgets and smartest AI in the world, but they don't work in a vacuum. To really make this happen, you have to redesign the entire research and development ecosystem around them. It's about changing the whole system, not just plugging in a new tool.
And this new ecosystem is really built on 3 key pillars. First, you need seamless collaboration, so great ideas don't get stuck in one lab. Second, you need modern ways to manage intellectual property for all these digital inventions. And third, and this is a big one, you need innovative regulatory science so that agencies like the FDA can keep up and have a clear path to approve these new kinds of therapies.
And that regulatory path is absolutely critical. Digital tools are now being used to streamline every single step of this long journey, from AI in the very beginning to find the drug, to virtual tools in the clinical trials, and even using AI to help write the massive submission documents for the final approval.
And listen, a change this big doesn't happen with the flip of a switch. It's a very deliberate, multi-year strategy. Year 1 is all about getting the foundation right, putting the tech in place. In year 2, you start running smaller pilot programs to integrate it all. And by year 3, the goal is to scale it all up and make this new, faster way of working the standard.
So after all this investment, all this strategy, and all this new technology, you have to ask, what's the bottom line? What's the real payoff? Well, it all comes down to one simple, powerful thing: getting cures to patients faster.
If you look at it from a business angle, the return on investment is just off the charts. For every single dollar you put into virtual clinical trials, you get more than $4 in value back. Same goes for computational biology and digital biomarkers. This proves these aren't just cool science projects, they're incredibly smart, effective strategies.
But here it is. This is the number that really matters to all of us. The total potential reduction in the drug development timeline is 40%. Remember that 15-year average we started with? This could knock as much as 6 years off that journey. 6 years! And that brings us right back to where we started, that enormous $2.6 billion price tag. The potential decrease in R&D spending per approved drug is 35%. That's a savings of nearly $1 billion per drug. $1 billion that can go right back into researching the next cure.
So when you remake the process like this, you're doing more than just making it efficient. You are fundamentally changing what's possible. You're accelerating hope. And that leaves us with one final, really exciting question to think about. With R&D finally moving this fast, what disease will we cure next?